professional start as always. We're back. It's week 2 and the NFL Around the UK is back on Sports Mag. How are you doing, Alec? How are you doing, Matty?
I am good. As I said, lasted longer than Aaron Rodgers. We're week 2, baby!
Week 2! We made it week 2! Woohoo!
What an absolute slam already on Jets fans. We have been live for 55 seconds and been talking for approximately 20 of those, and we've already managed to slam an entire fan base. Alec, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good about yourself right now?
Yeah. Who doesn't dunk on the
Jets?
Look at him.
Starting early with the week 1 chat. Throwing down the gauntlet to the Jets fans already, are you?
What's the over-under on Aaron Rodgers' fit games this season? 0.5 or more?
Is that time he would be playing, or is that...
Which is 0.5 snaps. Yeah, I don't know.
0.5 snaps, half a snap, and time he runs
Snaps
out.
ball. My hand. Yeah, I don't know.
As long as nobody gives him a flag to run out with, they might have a better season, right?
I think he might have worked a little bit harder than I did for my salary last year. So, do you know what I mean? Fair play to him.
Fair play. I mean, it was a tough life carrying that flag. That must have been hard.
I don't know how he does it. Like, I feel like the term hero is kind of banded around a bit too much. But sometimes, you know, when you're like, yeah, you deserve it. Absolutely.
You deserve it, Aaron. I saw something.
I know we're going off tangent. God, sorry.
While we're slamming, I was going to say, while we're slamming Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, I saw something today where it's like, look at Aaron Rodgers all kitted up in a lovely, the Jets uniform and going, look, Aaron Rodgers getting ready for his 20th year to lose to the 49ers. And I thought, nice. Harsh, but nice.
Okay.
Well, sorry, Jets fans. We do love you, really. Honest
fans.
I feel
all literally all the UK Jets fans are just hanging up on us now, just like
done with us already. Yeah.
God.
How did he make the NFL 100 though? That really did. I didn't realize, and it wasn't until someone said to me he made the NFL 100.
It's got to be working on past things. It's got to be in the name or the Green Bay history there. It's the only. It can't be because of what he's done in the last year and a half, 2 years, because it's pretty rubbish in his last year in Green Bay. And
the last year in Green Bay did not go to plan, and then obviously last year did not go to plan.
I mean, it made a really good entrance, so maybe that's what they're going with. Showman, Razzmatazz, carrying the flag, 9/11. Wow! It was all great. Well, it's the NFL and it's voting. Some of the NFL and voting always leaves a lot to be desired. Scratch your head, kind of going, what? Huh? How? Comeback Player of the Year, for example. Last week about.
You are really on the thing about this Comeback Player of the Year, aren't you, Gary?
I mean, there was a no-brainer Comeback Player of the Year last year. The guy died on the field and still didn't get given Comeback Player of the Year. They gave it to somebody who was rubbish.
To not win it after physically passing away on a football field is a bit mad, I will not lie.
But they gave it to some bloke who he's been rubbish for 10 years and he had one good season. Anyway.
I suppose that would be the conventional definition. But yeah, my guy literally died, and came back from that. So I'd say that's pretty impressive.
I'd say that beats coming back from being rubbish and suddenly lucking into a good system. Anyway.
Can we just have a segment where Gary just lets something off his chest? Just like, what's grinding Gary's gears this week? Like,
Gary's rants.
What's making Gary angry?
Making notes.
What's grinding Gary's gears? Bang! Come on,
that's happening. That's happening next week. That's going to happen.
Some segments just right.
Sponsored by Yorkshire Tea. Take a break.
As long as I can have who is it that does that advert? Anyway, we'll come back to it. Playing in the background.
NFL news then, boys?
NFL news, what we got? Let's dive into it. Come on, what we got?
Been a bit quiet this week.
It's been an interesting sort of pre-season, few rumbles, kind of not a massive amount big news. There's been a couple of, we mentioned Hassan Reddick, obviously last week, and the ins and outs and what's he doing. Again, the BA, is he signing, is he not? Still rumbles on. Nothing from that side of things from the Niners.
Bo Nix is the starter.
Bo Nix, I was going to say they have. There's a couple of QBs that have been called as I think Drake May starts to sound like he's going to be starting in New England. Bo Nix has been given the starting job. I think. Have they also confirmed that Gardner Minshew Mania is happening?
Yeah, Minshew Mania
in Vegas for at least the first couple of weeks. Let's be honest. Who knows what's going to happen there? But It'll be
I
fun
mean,
for a
Falcons
couple of
picked up
weeks.
Terrell, re-signed AJ Terrell to that massive £8 million deal, and then made more cap space in doing so. And
have
did
you
that crazy?
have we
We've
got a
signed
better
you up.
grip
And
of the salary cap and stuff, Alec? I'm
they've
assuming
got.
you've
they're
gone away,
doing
done your
I think
research.
they're doing Chelsea on it, aren't they?
Yeah,
Basically.
don't leave it alone. We've done the Premier League show, Gary. Pack it in. All right. I've had my miserable hour and a half. I don't need this. Not today, please. Don't do this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Still working on the calculator for the cap space. Still working on it.
I expect throughout the
Oh.
season for your knowledge
Suppose-
of the salary cap and stuff to just grow, and
It
then
will.
come the end of the Super Bowl, your massive brain will have just expanded, and you'll be able to just sit down and be like, right, I'm running through the finances of all
Right.
32 teams.
The Panthers have 20.4 million in cap space. How do you know that? Because news
It's
today,
the
I heard
Saints.
there was some news today though, wasn't there? The Washington Commanders have traded
Yes.
Johan Dotson to the Eagles.
He gone.
Or he gone to the Eagles. The Eagles just get richer, it seems. And the Commanders got a third and a later round fifths, I think it was, or a couple of sevenths or something.
They got
And
a third round
it's-
pick and 2 7th round picks in the 2025 draft.
And are the Commanders building a draft package of picks to send across to the former employer of their new GM for a certain wide receiver?
Or are they going Jamar Chase?
Who's also not signed his contract and is
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
still
quietly-
not happened. I
still
really
not
thought
happened.
at least
There
one.
are
Of, like,
and so let's be honest. There's CD Lamb, Jamar Chase, and Brandon Ayuk. None of them have signed up yet. None of them have had their contracts. So, as we talked about last week, somebody's going to throw a carrot out there. Jaden Daniels now being named. That's another one who was named QB1, wasn't he? Jaden Daniels at Washington. It's if any team's going to do a last-minute Hail Mary throw, get our new QB, a wide receiver that he knows, played in college with, has good rapport with, and the Commanders, as I say, the GM has just moved from the 49ers, have probably got a good relationship. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that they're coming in with a late deal.
I still think the 49ers flip that for a Devontae Adams. I still think that's any pick
they
that
need
get,
to.
I think
They
they're
can't.
flipping.
Anything that's pick related, they have to then throw it at the Raiders, and I don't think Devontae Adams would be too difficult to prize away from the QB room at the Raiders.
No.
Devontae, do you want to come and play with a team that's going to win something, or a team that is still finding its identity and we're waiting for next season's draft where it can get its franchise QB? I know which one.
I like it. Putting your 49ers hat on and taking your non-biased NFL around the UK hats off. If you had to pick between Trent Williams and Ayuk, where are you?
Trent Williams.
Yeah, I would probably also have to say Trent Williams.
Even longevity. So Trent, you're going to get 2 seasons out of Ayuk.
2 seasons of keeping Ayuk. 2 seasons of keeping Brock Purdy upright with the best left tackle in the game is worth more than 2 extra seasons of a wide receiver who by that point, 24, he'll be 28, 29, could get banged up or whatever else. And to keep our QB upright, he's the franchise QB, he's the face of the franchise going forward, and therefore you need the best left tackle in the game while he's still learning. He's still only in season 3 of his whatever it is. So absolutely, Trent Williams is head and shoulders for me more important than Brandon Ayuk. Proven as when Trent went down last season. Trent went down and Debo went down. Everyone was like, "Oh, we can't play without Debo." Debo came back and Trent wasn't back, and we still couldn't play. He's that important. He's that important. And I know Pooney's getting a load of rave reviews, and he seems like he's won the starting right guard. But that's the right guard situation. We still need a left tackle. The left tackle is one of, I think, the second most important positions in football because it's predominantly it's the side where the QB can't see. So you need to have your best player there, and Trent Williams is the best left tackle. He has to be more important than Brandon Ayuk.
I also just think, as well as keeping Purdy upright, it obviously he enables the entire run game as well, which is obviously such a big part of that Shanahan system. And not that taking Ayuk out of that team, like obviously you would notice it, but I feel like we've got enough people there that could probably at least share that load, even if it's not one person. Like we see Ricky Pearsall is going to be in his first year. He's quite an exciting prospect. They've obviously re-signed Juwan Jennings. Obviously McCaffrey's kind of good out of the backfield as well. So yeah, as I don't want to see either of them go anywhere. But yeah, if you had that choice, you could potentially say, we re-signed Trent Williams for 2 years. That's potential to win 2 Super Bowls. Not that, if he goes and you keep Ayuk, that potential is gone. But I think you're looking at a much different product with and without Trent Williams.
What do you think, Alec?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm going Trent. I think Trent all the way. I think just for what he adds in the running game, and Ayuk, I think he's a luxury.
Yeah, especially in the stacked offense that we have at the Niners. He is, yes, he's a wide receiver. He's a great route runner, and he takes up the yards. But as some of the, the criticism that was levied at Purdy, you can plug in any decent route running wide receiver there, and will be able to do the job and be able to block. And it sounds like Jacob Cowing is also picking up on the blocking. There's the receivers who have been around a year or two who know the system, and wouldn't be that much of a miss having not having number 11 there, not having number 71. You would notice it a lot more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Alex obviously on dodgy Wi-Fi up there in Cumbria.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! Are we allowed? Do you reckon we're allowed to put our non-biased hats back on now? I mean, obviously they're always going to be somewhat on, right? Like as much as you would try not to. Like with planning for this segment later, I really noticed that a lot of my biases, especially towards teams I'm not overly keen on, were really coming out when I was writing these segments. I was like, okay, I need to maybe calm down with those.
Maybe need to take that sort of rose-tinted glass, isn't it?
Yeah, I was trying
though,
so hard not to make one about the Chargers winning the Super Bowl, but I think I've done my best.
You've done your best to avoid that, but let's be honest, it's you. So who knows?
I tried my very hardest. But to be fair, I've never experienced John Harbaugh, so that is something I am.
Oh, so you have that to deal with. You have that to look forward to.
I have heard many things. I have listened to enough episodes of Around the NFL when it was still going, and now heed the call. I have heard them speak about him in much detail. I have heard.
It was a roller coaster.
Gentleman.
It was a roller coaster when he was on the sidelines in Santa Clara at the time. I mean, got us to the big show. It wasn't quite the best Super Bowl.
That was the Harbaugh Bowl, right?
That was the Harbaugh Bowl. That was when the lights went out and everything went horribly wrong. And his brother showed him up somewhat badly. And it was almost, and as we've mentioned about Mourinho, he's a very similar type of coach where impact, but can quite quickly after maybe 3-4 seasons, most of the players would be like, can you stop screaming and shout?
Yeah, we're done with this guy.
We're done with this kind of screaming aspect. So it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting roller coaster for the Chargers. That's for sure.
He back?
He back? He back? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I think so.
He back?
Yeah, good. He back?
Yes.
Right. We just filled a little bit waiting for you to come back because this is your segment now. The new Alex Simpson special segment, QB or not to QB. Dum, dum, dum.
To QB or not to QB? That is
almost worked. What happened? Where'd it go? Try it again. Where did that go?
Amazing. That fantastic. I was not ready.
I was not ready for that at all. Didn't expect that.
Oh my gosh.
To QB or not to QB? That is the question.
I think this sounds better out there. Marvelous.
That's absolutely stunning, Alec. I am now ready for this segment.
I'm not sure I'm ready for it, but
I paid £50 for that.
and they saw you coming, mate. They saw you coming for that one.
That is a top voiceover guy. That is a £50 top voiceover.
Are we? Is the voiceover man in this call right now?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Man of many
Are you cooking
talents.
the books? Are you cooking the books there? Are you paying yourself from the...
Yeah, whoa, we're talking about Gary's business expenses. Alec, what you been up to, man?
Yeah. Alec is sending invoices.
Whoa.
Voiceover Simpson.
I'm learning from the NFL, the NFL franchise cap. That's what I'm learning from.
Nice.
I'm going to give you a list of QBs, and you've got to tell me if they are going to be QBing this season or they are going to drift away into the wilderness.
Going to be
and
QB
not
is a
seen.
fantastic statement.
Going to QBing, right? So are we talking? So are they going to start? Are they going to play, or are they going to start, play, but then disappear? So what's the criteria here?
They're all starters. They're all
Right,
starters.
so they're all starters. But how long will they be starters for? Is that kind of where we're going?
Yeah, and will their season fall apart, and will they not be QBing at the end of the season?
Ooh, okay.
This would be an interesting one.
So buckle up, boys, because we are playing.
To QB or not to QB?
Everything just cuts out when the voice comes in. Unless I'm just going mad, I can't hear. You get an intro sort of blah blah, and then nothing else.
Oh no, it is there altogether. I'm sorry you're not getting the full experience here, Gary, because it is quite something, mate.
Why am I not getting?
It has worked. I'm taking it has worked, Matty.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you loud and clear, and I hope the audience are at home because it's a hoot and a nanny. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Okay, so my first quarterback is Geno Smith.
Oh, that's a tasty one to begin with.
Got the brownie points, obviously, from the Player of the Year. So he's got all that, and he had a reasonably good sort of. Yeah, he's going to be there for the season because I don't think they've got an adequate anybody who's really pushing him as a backup.
Yeah, that's
the backup they have is just
that
a
is
body,
what I wanted
isn't
to
it?
look at.
Is it Drew Lock?
So they got Geno Smith. This is the official depth chart. Geno Smith, Sam Howell, and PJ Walker, who I think was undrafted rookie ?
Both of those QBs have flash, though.
Yeah.
Sam Howell I thought was pretty steady for the Commanders with not a lot going on.
Yeah, an awful lot going. That is.
He wasn't bad because I feel like how many seasons did he have in Washington? Was it 2? Did he have 2 seasons in Washington? Am I making that up?
Yeah, 2 seasons because he started last season.
Yeah, I think the first season he was kind of quite steady, and then I want to say last season he was still pretty good, but he started to make a few more mistakes that he maybe didn't make in season 1. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna rock with Geno this season just because they're under like a new coaching staff, and you probably want it to be like a bit of a steady transition. But past this season, I also feel like his deal then becomes a lot more like team friendly in terms of like guaranteed money and stuff. So maybe after this season, they might look to move on. I mean, if they perform very poorly, then it could be something in the draft, or it could be, maybe Sam Howell does get another chance to be a starting QB. Question mark.
Is he good enough? Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Somehow, he reminded me a lot of Baker Mayfield in that kind of gritty, tried his best, managed to kind of eke out a win by, putting it on his shoulders and head down, taking some. So he's got that to, carve out a niche for himself. I just don't see them. I don't see them usurping Geno there, not this season. Unless, of course, it all goes horribly wrong and the Seahawks absolutely stink and they end up getting massive amount of injuries like they had last time, and then they just fall off a cliff in the NFC West, because the NFC West being quite competitive, if they're behind the Arizona Cardinals, I think people will be classing that as a disaster and therefore question, new coaching and everything else. So it could be interesting.
Okay, cool. Geno Smith. So we're saying he's QBing.
Mm-hmm.
We are saying Geno is QBing for the year.
Geno is QBing. Yeah, for this year. I think past that, maybe not. But yeah, for this year, I'll say Geno's QBing.
Okay, let's find out our next.
To QB or not to QB? That is the question.
Can this- I know for the bit this needs to come out right now. Can that please just come out at random intervals? Like, can we just be chatting about something totally different and be like, oh, well, you know, the Rams defensive line, QB or not to please just...
Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. Will he be
No.
QBing or not QBing?
I'm straight in with the no on that one. I don't care who their backup is.
No.
That is a firm no. I know the Giants sold the house for Daniel Jones, but oh my God, he's just dreadful. Even in preseason, he's seeing ghosts and throwing interceptions left.
Drew
right,
Lock
centre.
is there.
Drew Lock is a
And
Drew
Tommy
Lock is a
DeVito.
lock. Drew Lock is a lock to take that starting job in New York.
Oh, do you think?
Especially drafted what looks like and could be a superstar wide receiver. They need to be able to get somebody who can actually get the ball to him, because they've got nothing else. They've literally got nothing else apart from neighbors.
Saquon is gone now, which feels like a big loss as well, yeah.
Singletary as their lead back, I think, and then you look around the wide receiver room and go, who? Tight end, who? No, it's literally it's neighbors and nothing else. So they need to get a QB who can at least get the ball to him, and Daniel Jones is not that guy.
Gary saying non-QBing. What are we saying, Matty?
See, I feel like I have a bit of a weird soft spot for Daniel Jones, because I feel like I see a lot of myself in Daniel Jones. Like, he's just somewhat the most unremarkable athlete in the world. But I kind of like him. But I also, to be fair, I love the whole Tommy DeVito train last year as well. That was pretty wild. That was a good
That was a
time.
roller. That was a good side.
With
That
his
was.
agent in the stands in like full suit and fedora, like genuine mafia boss. And like when you're just having those moments of like, is this actually happening? Like,
Is this real? Is the NFL letting
cannot
this
be
happen?
real. Yeah, he's still living with his parents. Like, do you reckon on game day he was just like, "Hey Ma, where my cleats?
Where's my pasta?
Sorry,
Cleat
yeah,
the
like,
cleats.
Yeah.
stereotypes aside. I am probably going to fall on my sword here, but I'm going to back Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is QBing this season.
Ooh,
I
the
think
split in the group.
this season for the Giants could potentially be a rough one. I know I've gone on record already and predicted that the Commanders might go big, which in hindsight's a bit brave, but when have I ever made a bad decision? Literally ever. So I think that the Giants might look at this and think, right, we need to try and build up something solid with said wide receiver that has been drafted. And they've paid Daniel Jones. Again, I don't know the exact numbers of the contract. I'm sure in a couple of weeks' time, Alec will be able to explain to me all the numbers involved in that.
It's a big number.
It's
It was
a big number.
It was a big number. It was before last season, wasn't it? It was based on half a good season, and they thought he's our man, and something like
they turned down the 5th-year
$90
option,
million,
and then he
just
had
went,
like an actually quite good season. They were like, "Oh, poo! Now we've done it."
Sugar, now we've done it. Here's $90 million.
160 million.
Freaking
Yeah,
hell.
92 million guaranteed. 4-year contract.
Let's go for it. This is the year that Daniel Jones proves he's worth that money. I think he's
And he'll be QBing. Ooh, like it. One more?
Drew,
I got a few more to go.
Drew
Yeah,
Lock is
let's
a lock.
keep going.
Come on,
Let's
let's keep
go.
going. Keep going.
Okay, one more. Let's find out our next.
To QB or not to QB? That is the question.
Fun fact, can't be copyrighted because it's like a gazillion years old. So, do you know what I mean? It's public
See,
domain.
this is why Alec earns the big bucks.
This is why he's backing. That's why we've
He's a
got him.
smart guy.
Derek Carr.
Oh,
That was the face I wanted, Gary. That was the
you
face.
picked some beauties.
Ay. Wow.
So I've only picked this with the whole Spencer Rattler kind of stuff that was coming out.
Now, That is a great one. Because I
Okay, so-
initially, I'm quite high on drafting Spencer Rattler as a late round sort of flyer in a couple of drafts that I've been in.
Here we go. He's got his college
Based
football hat
on-
now. Look at him.
Based on college football, based also on Derek Carr. There was enough rumblings from last season that things weren't quite right in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's
with him.
definitely worth looking at. Like last season, definitely did not go to plan for Derek Carr, right? Like I
Yeah.
know when the move kind of happened, and it all seemed very like, yeah, this is going to work. And then, yeah, as the season went on, it started to sound a bit more like, like it really doesn't sound like the fans are overly keen on this guy.
No, and he didn't win anybody over. Chris Olave's there as a decent wide receiver. Kamara, one maybe season left, maybe I don't.
That's a great shout.
That is a good one. That is a good one. I've got a feeling here's an interesting one. I think Carr will get injured, so we'll have to drop out for a week at least. He'll come in and play pretty well, and then the controversy will be: does Carr win his? Does he win the place back, or is now? I think it's injury related, but at the end of the season, Rattler is the starting QB. So I don't think he
So
loses his
the
job,
one
but
I-
I think he. I think.
The reason I found this interesting is the chunk of his contract, 30 million, is due next year. So if they wanted to get rid of him, it would be good to get rid of him week
This
8.
time. Week 8, trade him at the trade deadline to somebody who's desperate for a
Injured.
QB. Theirs has gone down. Yep. Panthers maybe somewhere like that. I wouldn't do it in division, but
Yeah, but do you know what I mean?
yeah. And also, sorry, Matty, go on.
No, go on, mate. You seem
I was
like
just
you're onto
thinking
a thought
because
somewhere.
I was onto a thought of that division should have been the Saints to wrap up because it's a pretty poor division, and they haven't. And now Atlanta have really thrown the bus at winning big this season, and I think Kirk Cousins being there is going to highlight that Derek Carr isn't it. Derek Carr was the Kirk Cousins that the Saints were looking for, but got it wrong. And I think that's going to be playing against him.
I think he will start QBing, but I think he be gone by week 6 because I'm looking at their schedule. So they open with the Panthers, which should be a win, one would imagine. I can't see big things from the Cowboys this season. Week 2, one would imagine the Cowboys would be the Saints. That's a 1-1. Again, Eagles. Obviously, the end of last season wasn't great, but presumably Eagles would beat the Saints. That's 1-2. Falcons, I kind of fancy them, like both of their quarterback options. Presumably, Kirk Cousins come back looking nice. That might be another loss. That's 3-1. Then they've got the Chiefs week 5.
Oof.
That's probably 4 or 1-4. They've not just battering everyone.
Just
and then
around there.
week 6, I think they lose to the Bucks in division, which puts them at 1-5. So they decide to replace it.
And
because
0-2
then
in the division. Yeah.
after that, their next 3 are the Broncos, Chargers, Panthers, which are 3 quite winnable games. So maybe if they want to switch QB and give this new quarterback some potentially like easier games. Obviously, there's no easy game in the NFL, well, supposedly. But I think that would maybe be a good run to start your new quarterback off with. So yeah, I think he'll play out week 6 and then he gone.
He gone.
So we're all agreeing non-QBing.
Yeah, I think we're going for it.
Cool. I like it. Good one. Good one. Last one. I'll leave you on this one. So my last.
To QB or not to QB? That is the question.
That is the question.
Will Levis with the Titans.
I'm just going to come straight out here. I think he's QBing. I back Will Levis big time. I think the Titans have actually done a sneaky good job at building quite a good team around him. I think their receiver core is not bad. They've bulked up their defense. Their offensive line has also seen quite a lot of changes, which was horrendous last season. I think if he maybe just makes better condiment choices to go with his coffee, he will have my full backing. But no, I'm going to come straight out. I think Will Levis QBs. I back him.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he QBs this one through because I think the Titans have had a look at the other guys that they've got and suddenly realised they're not it either. I think Malik, whatever his name is, though, he's been thrown in a couple of times and has not looked the part. And as Matty says, they've got a few bits and pieces around Will Levis. He's shown enough to get through this year. So I think he will be QBing this year, but I think the Titans are already looking at next year's draft for some new QB talent that's coming through.
Yes,
So I think they'll be drafting quite high up.
But I think he'll be QBing, but I feel like they're looking at options for next year. But I think for this year, I think they're riding or dying with him, I would assume.
I think there's going to be a lot of mayonnaise being served in Tennessee.
Yeah, get on the hot train.
What a sentence I did not expect to be hearing this evening.
Thank you for playing along with the game.
To QB or not to QB? That is the question.
I feel a TikTok coming on.
I feel it's coming. Brilliant. Love these. Love it. Love it. Nice one. That's that run and run. That one. We've got weeks and weeks of entertainment to get out of that one.
Yeah, there's a couple of QBs that didn't go through on there, but there's
a couple. I mean, I think you chose the ones that are
there were
on that knife edge
ones.
There's some really good ones there.
Big time.
I'm surprised you didn't start with Aaron Rodgers, mind, but I suppose before Rodgers.
No, because he'll be vice president of the United States of
Vice
America.
Vice President Rodgers.
God Christ.
Hideousness. Nice.
Matty,
we're gonna...
yeah. Where's your intro? You got an intro?
Outrageous statements or something. There we go. Wow. Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Matty's done the homework there, Alec. As you can tell,
listen,
you've gone out there and hired a voiceover, and Matty's there.
I went as far.
I haven't even come up with the title,
and then mildly planned it. That's about as far as I've gone.
Mildly planned. Or did you just mildly plan the name?
Yeah, kind of. So just to clarify, it's kind of similar-ish vibes to QB or not to QB, to be fair, but just not all relating to quarterbacks. So I've got a list of 24 statements that rage. They do not rage. These are not angry statements, by the way. These are all my angry opinions about the NFL.
Reading them.
Yeah. Why are the referees' uniforms all stripy? I hate it. So they range in degrees of outrageousness, and I guess basically I just want to see where you guys sit with some of these. Now, I won't lie, some of them aren't that rowdy. And then I look at some of them and I think, what in my heart was really against this fan base or particular player? Some of them are a bit savage. But we'll
Interesting. Excellent. So how are we ranking these? Are we ranking them in order of
So
teams?
I think we'll just.
Are we saying how outrageous it is? Like, so the most outrageous one is a Panthers winning the Super Bowl type statement. Is that what
yeah, on a scale of Panthers to Chiefs, how good are you feeling about these statements? I guess that's a solid 49ers. I'm feeling pretty good about that one. You know, but you know, just rank them however you would like, however stupidly you feel. If you just want to be like, I strongly agree with that, that's fair. Or if you want to be like, I feel like David Tepper throwing a beverage over someone over that, you know, that's absolutely fine, right? Rank them absolutely however you would like.
Literary ranking, that's what we love on this show.
Yeah, just, you know, there's no rules to this. It's a segment planned by me. You think I've planned this fully? You calm down. So I feel like some of these I've already said in predictions. So I'm going to start off with one that feels fairly straightforward, and I'm really sorry to any fans of this team that may or may not be watching or listening to this show, but the Panthers will be the worst team in the NFL this upcoming season. Gary Thorpe. No. Oh, no. Okay. How do you like? How much do you disagree with that statement? Is that like a solid?
That's a solid Tepper glass. That's somebody's getting all of that liquid thrown over their head. I disagree strongly with that statement.
Okay. Alec, how do you feel about that statement?
Not as angry as Gary. Like, as angry as when someone puts too much milk in my tea.
Oh, okay. So like lightly.
Which is a
peeved.
Yorkshireman. Hang on, wait. 'Cause
That's a
we need
Yorkshireman.
to quantify that because tea is like a religion. So putting too much milk in the tea could be
That could be-
quite a
that
lot.
could be very, very bad,
That could
actually,
be quite. That could be
That
quite
could be
bad.
more than Gary. Who knows? Okay. So right. So I guess Gary, you've got the more wild reaction. What are you saying? Do you think there's going to be a lot of teams worse than the Panthers? Have you got like one specific team in mind?
The Patriots are the worst team in football, and they will be worse than the Panthers. By a
I think there'll be
margin.
one more team that's worse than the Patriots.
Oh, who else do you think is going to be worse than the Patriots?
I think the Giants.
Okay.
The G-Men!
The G-Men out of New York are going to be.
I think they are going to be worse than the Patriots.
You think they're going to proper stink?
And I think the Patriots are going to properly stink. So
I'm not finding myself disagreeing with either of you, to be honest. Like, not that I have a whole lot of like hope in the Panthers, but I feel like I just kind of look at those three teams and don't really hold out too much hope for any of them.
I think they'll be battling for the number 1 seed, won't they? Let's be honest. They'll be battling for number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, if you told me those three had the top 3 picks in the draft, I would not be terribly surprised by that.
But it does mean that the Panthers actually get a pick, though, doesn't it?
Yes, this year they would actually be back on getting a pick. Yeah, well,
Jive it in, Gary.
Little jab.
Stick that in there. Yeah, go on. Why not? Fair. Get involved. Okay, fine. All right. Okay, fine. Now, me and Gary did have a brief chat about this gentleman, and obviously it wouldn't be an Around the NFL UK show if I didn't bring this team up at least once. But now, with John Harbaugh at the helm, the Chargers will make it to the postseason, despite being quite a talent deficient roster at this point. I feel like they've lost quite a lot. And I know under John Harbaugh is going to be quite a big change. Again, I have never experienced this man. I was not a fan of the NFL when he was in it, so I'm fully aware. I've been told it's going to be an experience. We'll start with Alec first. I went to Gary first last time. How do you feel about the Chargers and the Harbaugh experience?
I'm really looking forward to it, and I think they'll get 9 wins, but then I wouldn't be shocked if they got 7 wins and missed out.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm in agreement with this, but to a certain degree, I'd be like, meh, if it didn't happen.
Could go either way, yeah. So like it could happen,
Yeah.
but it also you wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. Wouldn't be surprised if they.
It's like when my wife takes me to
may predict.
B&Q and says, "Do you like this paint or this shade of white or this shade of white?" It's a
That is actually.
Yeah, neither agree nor disagree with this statement. It's one of those, isn't it? You're kind of circling number 3 on the when you're doing a survey on this one, because as you say, they could be sneaky okay and probably just sneak into the playoffs, but then you wouldn't be that surprised if, as you say, it's a transitional year. They're going to be very run heavy if their offensive line doesn't live up to it and the running backs start to fall over because they're pretty old. Although they do have a good guy coming through the rookie. They picked up a decent rookie, but the 2 main running backs are not spring chickens. So, division, it's...
Yeah, there's 4 games at the end of the season: Bucks, Broncos, Patriots, Raiders. So I can see them going into them games needing to win all to get into the playoffs. And the whole Jim Harbaugh, come on, run for a brick wall.
Lad. On, let's do everything.
Well,
I can see it, but then again, I can also see them charging and losing against
the Chargers. Could definitely charge you. You could never accuse them of not doing that. That's I suppose
it's
the only
always in there.
Does the Harbaugh factor outdo the Charger factor? Right, is going to be the thing. You don't think so? Okay, Chargers going to Charger. No.
Chargers are still going to charge, but Harbaugh might mitigate it somewhat, but he can never stop that. I think the Chargers are just inherent as a franchise, just have spurs about them.
All right. I feel like... Go ahead.
So first season, 49ers, Jim Harbaugh took over. Roster was a mess. Everyone thought Alex Smith was a bust. How many wins did he get, Gary? Because this surprised me. I've just looked.
Get 8 wins?
13.
No, he didn't win 13 in his first season. 13 wins in season.
Yeah, we went 6-10. I know it shocked me. 6-10, and we had finished the season with Jim Tomsula, and then 2011 we went 13-3.
Was that when
lost
Cap
to the
took
Saints?
over?
No, it was the
No,
full season
so it
of
was
we lost to
full
the Saints.
season of the-
Lost to the Giants for the fumble.
Oh, the kick. Oh.
Genuine
what,
pain.
What was his name? Williams. Was it Williams? No. What was his name?
Kyron Will? No.
Kyle
No.
Williams.
God,
Oh.
Yeah, 13-3. So
Wow.
okay.
That's surprising. So he does the humble bounce was quite significant. So
6-10
maybe
to
he,
13-3.
I feel like if there is a
Maybe he is.
franchise that might be in need of that hardball bounce as well, it could be someone like the Chargers.
It's definitely the LA. It's definitely the Chargers, and they need it because the Rams are the item in LA. They need to kind of step it up and start to challenge for that sort of fan base as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It's slapped down the middle with that statement. I could see it, but I also, as Alex says, kind of go, "Oh, they didn't." Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
I feel like I've been a bit too nice with these statements that have come out so far. I feel like they've all been like room temperature glass of watery. They've not been very spicy. So let's turn the heat
Pull
up.
out the chilies. It's turn to get the chilies out now.
Let's get some more rowdy ones, shall we? So let's go with. I don't think this one is going to make me terribly popular with Fletch, but. With Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy being drafted into the NFC North, Jared Goff is now the worst quarterback in the division.
Oh,
I agree.
Oh, Alex gone right out of the gate. Come on now.
Is he worse than JJ McCarthy?
I know. Okay, obviously, do you need to preface this? JJ McCarthy has unfortunately been injured and will be out for the season. So it's going to be big man Sam Darnold. So this statement does not necessarily reflect this season, which I understand is a bit of a problem. But let's just going on like pure talent and vibes, which I feel like is what I go on minus the talent.
Okay. If we're going on who we assume the starters are going to be for the four, as you say,
Yes.
Injuries notwithstanding. So we're thinking JJ McCarthy, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff. Even when you read them out like that, you do feel like by the time you get to Jared Goff, you're like, oh.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like Jared Goff.
I like him.
I like
but
him. I feel like there is a place for Jared Goff, right? And
yeah, there was a plateau and a peak that Jared Goff found last season with the Lions and that kind of all out.
Yeah, and I think his
Campbell
situation
aspect.
works for him. Like him and the Lions does seem to be a good fit. They work together.
Yeah, but would
I think
Jared
it's
Goff
just too
work
much
somewhere else?
expectations on the Lions.
Yeah, and we've already seen that Jared Goff doesn't work in a bigger pressured environment like the LA when he was drafted in there, and he didn't really live up to hype. So he's fine. He's found a great situation for him around a team that's built around his, I wouldn't say his limitations, but they know what he can do and they also know what he can't do. So they don't make him do the things that he can't do very well. The three QBs can all do that other stuff as well. So I think from a purely skill based, yes, he's probably the worst QB of the four in the way that new QBs are, but that doesn't necessarily mean, they're the worst team, but I just think out of the four starting QBs in the NFC North, he is the one with the lower ceiling.
I would actually put him as close to being the fifth best QB in that league behind Sam Darnold.
Oh, wow, that's spicy. Whoo-wee. Sam the Bust Darnold better than Jared Goff. I mean, they're both first-round draft picks, aren't they?
Just had different ways of living. Sam Darnold got chucked under the bus for the Jets, and then again in Carolina.
So did, and then
Goff's had the red carpet treatment. Sean McVay, then gone to Detroit with low expectations.
Yeah,
great.
Still getting paid, but isn't he still getting paid by LA as well at some point?
Yeah. And had a great wide receiver.
Yeah. And a decent running back.
glad that
Mm.
turned up the heat a little bit. Good. That
Whew.
did exactly what
So
I wanted
he's
to.
actually, what you're saying is Jared Goff is the 5th best QB in the NFC
Yeah,
North.
Alec has gone even further than I did, and I thought I was savage.
Sorry, Fletch.
That's outrageous. Yeah, sorry, mate.
Wow.
Crikey.
Oish.
I know he's an avid Jared Goff enjoyer, which I suppose as a Lions fan you kind of probably should be.
I think Sam Darnold will win 9 games this season. Maybe not 9. Okay, I'll go 8.
I feel better with 8. I think.
Don't know why. Don't know why, but
8 feels more achievable than 9. Something about numbers being in order or something. Okay. I think I've got maybe 2 more. I feel like that might have been the most beefy one, though. I was not expecting that to be quite as dramatic as it was. Okay, so now that the proven receiving core around him has gone, this year is a bit of a prove it year for Josh Allen to show us all that he is the elite quarterback we think he is, capable of going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. Now, I am just basing this on, obviously, last year, everyone looked at that Chiefs roster, especially whilst they were playing through the season, and thought, who is Patrick Mahomes throwing to, right? It wasn't.
No,
Somebody did.
No, they didn't.
Somebody
No
did.
one...
Somebody did.
No, they
Somebody
didn't.
definitely had those sorts of thoughts.
I feel another
Somebody
TikTok
thought-
coming on. But you know, and somehow they did it. None of their receivers were really performing, and somehow they did it, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, the receivers for Buffalo have gone. He's still got some good tight ends like Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, which is kind of similar to Patrick Mahomes last season. I'm not saying I'm expecting the Bills to win the Super Bowl or be bust, but I have heard quotes saying that the quarterback kind of makes the receiver core around them. So is this a bit of a prove it year for Josh Allen now that he maybe doesn't have the weapons around him that he used to have?
I think it has to be, right? I think it has to be because they've gone all in on him. He's got his money. He's getting paid a bucket load, which is why they've got no receivers because they can't afford anybody else because of the contract that he's on. So he has to elevate all those players around him. As you say, he's got a good tight end room. I mean, personally, I love the new receiver that they've got there. I wish the 49ers had picked him up late in the first round rather than let him drop to the second. I thought he was a better pick than Ricky Pearsall personally, but that's my Seminole sort of hat coming through because he's a great receiver, Keon Coleman. He'll win on the outside. He's a physical kind of jump ball specialist, which will help Josh Allen because when things get leery, you know, Josh will run around and then just bomb it, 90 field for a jump ball. And he's now got a receiver who's got a chance of making those look like wowzer plays rather than just complete Hail Mary hope balls. So, yes, it's definitely on Josh Allen to make the Bills relevant. Can he carry a team that has been so skills decimated relevant in this division? I don't know.
That's fair. Alec?
No, I don't think he is. I think he'll be.
I thought he was going to stop there. I just literally thought I don't think he is.
No.
No.
Right. Okay.
No, I don't. I think there's enough in Buffalo. There's enough bad teams in the AFC for them to get enough wins. We've already spoke. They're going to be better than the Patriots, so they're not going to finish bottom. They'll go 1-1 versus the Dolphins like they always do. So we don't know what the Jets are going to be. So they could finish a sneaky second. They're going to finish third. So, and I also think, don't get me wrong, the Bills are dreadful, but I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the AFC. So I think it'll just be a middling year, and it's suck it up. We spent what we spent. We got rid of Diggs. Let's build again.
That's fair. Okay, so I feel like we got time for one more.
I agree with Gary that they could easily slunk to 5 wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is going to be a weird year for Buffalo. Like it wouldn't surprise me if they do really well, like out of nowhere, or it also wouldn't surprise me if they really tank and have a bit of a honker.
But I think they're going to have high expectations and low actuals that come out of it. Everyone's going to think Josh Allen and Buffalo Bills, and then they're going to realize after 2 or 3 weeks it's like actually it's just Josh Allen. It's not Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and one player can't do it all. But I think that's going to be a tricky one. Interesting watch, Buffalo.
Is fair.
They haven't. The last time they got less than 10 wins was 2018.
Been a while.
Ooh, yeah, it's been a minute.
But then again, as I say, I think their window is closed now. I think they had their chance. They didn't quite do it. And I think they're in that, now Josh has got his big contract. They're going to have to rebuild around. So I think it's going to be a couple of years of middling, as you say, second, third in their division, before they kind of come back to relevance. Maybe it might not. Maybe it might disappear in the post Jim Kelly cold, frozen wastes of Buffalo. Who wins more games?
Bills.
Oh,
as much as I love the Chargers, I just have more faith in the Bills. Again, this might just be me with my non-Harbaugh hat on, and also I'm a bit mildly obsessed with these. To be fair, these are just my two love pet teams that aren't
these
the 49ers.
are your two crushes, aren't they? These are your man crushes.
This is my two, other NFL man crushes. This is tough. Do I like Justin Herbert or oh my god?
Okay, let me throw another team in there as well then. Who wins more games? Rank these in the games that they're going to win. Bills, Steelers, Chargers.
Steelers are third. I'm sticking.
Okay, actually, I'm going to put 4 in because you can make a division. Bills, Steelers, Jags, Chargers.
Oh my lord! What a wild division that be.
Chargers, Jags, Bills, Steelers for me.
See, that was one of my statements. I think the Steelers might be in for their first non-winning season under Mike Tomlin. I think I'm going to go with it. Jesus. No, do you know what? I'm going to puff my chest out and probably be proven really wrong. I'm still going Bills. I feel this could very much backfire. Bills, Chargers, Jags, Steelers.
What a division that would be as well.
That would be pretty wild, to be fair.
Pretty
that
brutal,
would be pretty
it?
wild. I've got a couple more if we've got time for one more, boys. I know, Alec, you've got to get off, so let me know.
Yeah, one more. I have got one last segment that I've added at the end, which is my pre-season rant. I want to know what you think to this, but
absolutely okay.
Love it.
Boys,
Hang on. Is that a Gary's Gears thing, or is that something?
Yeah.
A prequel to Gary's Gears. Yeah. I'll let you guys choose the last one. So, would you like to hear me take a shot at Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, the entirety of the NFC South, or the Philadelphia Eagles? Who would you like me to have beef with?
I'm staying away from anything Chiefs related this season, so yes, go Eagles.
Okie dokie. Now, obviously, over the course of this off-season, we've had some pretty large retirings happen. I think that Jason Kelce will be a bigger miss for the Eagles than Aaron Donald will be for the Rams. Purely because I'll give you a minute to think about this. Obviously, over the last few years, I feel like Jason Kelce has really come to the forefront, right, of NFL media. Obviously, with the documentary, with his rather large podcast. I don't know if anyone's heard about this. I also think his brother is dating someone mildly successful. So I feel like we've all had like a good bit of Jason Kelce on our screens. We've all got to know him.
Too much Kelce, quite frankly, but
there's been a lot of Kelce. Yes, I must admit, I do like the both of them, but it's been a lot of Kelce. But I just feel like his presence in that locker room, and obviously he's been there for so long, and he was very much a big part of the whole tush push. Like, is that still going to be a thing? Are we still going to be able to do that if Jason Kelce's not there? Not that Aaron Donald won't be a miss for the Rams. I think he will be, but the way they've been building that team, and maybe the way that the Eagles capitulated last season with Jason Kelce, I have more faith that the Rams will do a better job of filling the hole that Donald leaves over Jason Kelce. Over to you, boys.
Yeah, I think I covered briefly the rebuild that the Rams have done on their front line last time when you
said they were winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I think they have filled that gap, because obviously you can't take one player out and replace him with the same, because he was a 3 kind of
Different
you
gravy,
would have
yeah.
to different grade. You'd have to triple team him and whatever else. But I think the Rams have done well enough to cover for that. And it's always a weird one because it's a center, right? And you think center is like he touches the ball in every snap. But do you think he's that important to an offensive line? But then you look at it and you think that offensive line kind of struggled towards the end of last season when he probably knew he was on his way out and was already planning on retiring. So he wasn't maybe giving everything. Don't want to cast aspersions, but if you think you're going to retire at the end of the season,
Injured as well.
Injured, yeah. Do you want to put your neck in somewhere? Do you want to do that last? I don't know. Maybe. And yeah, and they did fall away after getting beaten up by the Niners, and Big Dom getting poked in the eye and whatever it was. So it's interesting. I do think that will be a bigger miss. Yes, I think the Eagles will struggle more without him than the Rams without Donald.
Alec?
I agree with this statement as much as I would argue with a flat earther. Like, this statement is so true. The Eagles will struggle so much without Kelsey, not because of his gameplay so much on the field, but how important he is in the locker room and with the Eagles coaching staff. I feel like he was that one that kind of kept everyone intact. He was the one that when the turmoil was going on, don't worry guys, I've been here before. He was that glue. He is that offensive line. He's the one that kind of, when Hurts was getting that pelters and people were saying he's not a good QB, he was the one I'm sure was there.
Yeah.
I'm here. I think they miss him more, not because of his on-field presence, but because of his off-field presence and the fact that he was Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like he embodies everything that
he was the archetypal cut him, he bleeds green type thing, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding myself very much in agreement with you boys. Well, I have plenty more of those. So any other week we are struggling to fill the show, I will happily take pops at fan bases and coaches because I disgraced myself enough last year that
I just spice them up a bit.
Yeah, I have no credibility left after last year. So if
let's be honest,
we've
already taken so many pot shots at the Jets, we should probably.
I will do my best. I won't lie. One of them was Big Dom related, actually. Just speaking of the Eagles. So that's what I mean. I feel like my biases were mildly coming out a little bit. But yeah, Alec, let's what's this mystery segment? What have you been in the?
It's my preseason rant. So Gary got me onto this earlier. So you can tell me whether you disagree with this or you
full
don't
screen,
agree
Alec.
with this.
Me and Gary can just go for a cup of tea or something.
We're just gonna wait.
This one really winds me up, and it's because preseason, all the coaches. Where am I going? All the coaches moan that we don't get enough snaps. We don't get enough contact snaps, and we're limited to what 2 they have to do now in practice. Play your starters in preseason then. They will get snaps. It's not real football anyway. Why are we messing around with these crappy undrafted free agents that are on the 93 roster that are going to get cut, that we're never going to see? And we get all hyped up about them, about how, oh yeah, this 7th round draft pick wide receiver caught 72 passes from an undrafted QB that's going to be picking up shopping carts next week anyway. Like, just scrap it and just have live scrimmages. That would make it so much easier. The football would be entertaining and we wouldn't be messing around with this crappy preseason football that we've got. Like, week 3, like, who in their right mind is staying up till 1 a.m. in the morning in the UK watching week 3 preseason football? No one.
No one. I'm certainly not doing it. I don't know many people that will. And there are some avid fans out there that probably will be doing it who are completely want to do the depth chart. But you're right. This is the time that those 93 players all battling for that roster spot. They're out there wearing the same numbered jerseys as 3 other players. It'd be confusing if you watched a game. You got 3 number 5s out on the field going, what the hell's going on here? Who's what and where? I totally get it. And I think there's an upswelling and there's a movement towards obviously an extra game. I think there's going to be an 18-game season soon. They'll shorten the preseason to make room for it, player safety, blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But we're going to be going into proper football quicker, which will get rid of some of this just dross that you end up seeing on plays, as you say, on preseason. And it is dross, and I get that. There's a reason, and it's, I love the college game and I love the disparity you get between different, skill sets and stuff like that. But the NFL, well, you don't get those sort of disparities because it's the best players in the NFL. So why do we have to suffer through 3 or 4 weeks of slightly enhanced XFL in the nicest possible way? It's not. It's like there's a league being built for these players who don't quite match up to the NFL standard. So,
and I get they've got to play. Like I'm totally there. They've got to play. My argument falls a little bit with the coaches when they go, "Well, we're not getting the reps that we need." Do you know what I mean? We need more reps, and do you know what I mean? They're only like my starting QB is only getting 10 reps in 7-on-7. Well,
play in the game.
No,
play.
Yeah,
yeah. It is a weird
have
one,
live
isn't
scrimmages. Do you know what I mean? Like have that Pro Bowl scrimmage that used to be.
Yeah.
Like
just go and do something.
Just don't give me. I don't want to. I'm sorry. I don't want to see my
4th string QB who's going to be on the practice squad or whatever. Yeah.
Throw into my shopping cart collector from Macy's. Like I don't want to see it.
I'm very much struggling to disagree with it. Like I feel like even, like putting my 49ers hat back on, I've been listening to a lot of 49ers podcasts with obviously hosted by actual Americans. Because it turns out none of us are American. But that was a weird tangent to go on. But so I've been listening to a lot of them, and they've actually been like watching the preseason games because obviously it's not staying up quite as late as it would be if we were to watch them. And like Brock Purdy was out on the field the other night. Great, cool. Get him some snaps, maybe get him some hits, which isn't ideal, but you want to get in that real game environment. But he was the only starter out there that was literally like, who is he throwing to? What experience is this going to give him? Like you said, I totally get that these fringe people competing for places need game time and stuff, but maybe just like sprinkle some starters in there because presumably they would also want to be trying to get up to speed and getting into that real game environment. And I get stuff like injuries is obviously very much a worry, but
what's different between preseason week 3 and week 1?
Injured in a exactly.
If that was the case, 49ers should rest CMC until week 5.
Rest him until Thanksgiving, yeah.
Stick him in the barn until week 5, like.
Till we need him. Yeah, it's Oh, don't play because you might injure your QB. Oh, okay, play him in week 18 then because it's safe then. Yeah, the QB it is crazy as you say. Lots of the 49ers content was like, yeah, Purdy was on the field for 9 snaps or something, and it's like, and then you look about who he was out there with, and you're like, what was the benefit of that other than the fact he got absolutely pasted by somebody on the Saints?
He looks kind of shaky in this preseason game. And I'm like, yes, but look who he was on the field with. Like, he was on the field with just geezers like outside Levi's. They were like, yo, fella, you look
you've got the kit on. Yeah, you'll do. Yeah.
You want to catch some passes? You play you tight end? Yeah, go on, in you get. Like, who was not throwing to anybody. Of course he doesn't look great. I don't want to be that guy, but like, come on now. Or at least if you're going to, I just feel sorry for fans. Like if a fan is going to a preseason game and only like one starter out of, let's say, 11 offense, 11 defense, one starter. So you've got like 1/22 of your NFL team has played. If your ticket is anything more than like $10, get out.
You're asking for a refund, right?
Absolutely. There needs to be something in terms of compensation because I feel like they're probably not charging much cheaper because it's a preseason game, are they? Am I right, guys? No. The NFL's a business, baby.
NFL's a business. NFL's a business in the end. And yeah, I mean, it reminds me, I don't know, I mean, I'm showing my age here, but the American Bowl that used to come over here, and we'd all go mad for that. And really, it was a preseason game, and you'd go there, and it was like, I remember like the Niners were playing the Dolphins, and it was Joe Montana, it was Dan Marino, and all the pictures and everything else. Did we see any of those players? Absolutely not. They were nowhere near the field at all. But we didn't know any better back then. It was just like, wow, we get to see American football. It quite pick up on the fact that it was a preseason friendly at the time, and it was a proper, barely anything it was almost two-hand touch sort of football they played back then. But some of these preseason games aren't much better than that. So why are we? Don't complain that your starters are rusty come week one when you've had 4 weeks to get the rust knocked off of them, but you haven't.
Yeah, you have some perfect opportunity to give them in-game reps. Even if the other team wants to sit all their starters, crack in. Give them a bit of confidence by just battering some third and fourth string people. Like, that's never going to be a bad thing.
No, and I do get it. Like, I agree with you. There's a reason why the rosters are 96 and they have to be shifted down like to 53. I totally get it. But it's that point. We'll get to week 2. Yeah.
Gary,
we'll get to week 2.
I've told you. Pack it in.
We'll get to week 2 and we'll have the whole, Joe Burrows is looking rusty. Well, no shit. Like, he hasn't played for 4 weeks.
Possibly have been prevented.
What could we have possibly done to make our starters be a bit fresher for week 1?
Gosh, that is very confusing.
And it just dawned on me this week that watching preseason is just not enjoyable.
Certainly not for UK fans, as you say. If your team is a West Coast team or a later team, you're not. Why would you stay up until and I think the Niners were playing on like a Thursday night, Friday morning or something this week or something like that. There's certainly no way I was staying up until 4 a.m. watching that.
I feel like everything about the preseason is not that enjoyable. That I remember having one of the games on the TV in the background. I want to say it was might have even been the first preseason game. It was like the Vikings versus somebody. I can't even remember. And I remember just thinking in the background, and I was playing my games on one screen. I had the preseason game on the other screen, and I remember just looking back and all of a sudden being like, "We're like 3/4 of the way through the second quarter. Like, where is this gone?" Because obviously there's no jeopardy, there's no time management. All the adverts are gone, and I would never thought I would have missed adverts, but obviously because they're not advertising, like the game just isn't stretched out the same. And in theory, that would be amazing, but also no, the game is happening too quickly. Like, slow it down, please. I want my value for money here.
No,
it's a weird one.
Sorry, that was my rant.
No, it's a good one.
I look forward to next week's angry rant.
Next week's going to be mine, where I get on my high horse and
grinding Gary's gears.
What grinds my gears this week, or in general. It'll be interesting. I've got to pick that one.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be NFL related. Just
I could just start and go off on a tangent. Who knows?
Stepped in a dog poo. Pick it up, people. Come on.
Don't get me started on that, bloody hell. Oh. Don't get me started. Right, next week, boys.
Like and subscribe. Next week, like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit us up on Spotify. Gary, good work, pal.
Yes, so check out Spotify wherever you get your podcasts, i.e. Spotify. You'll find us on there. We've worked that one out. Next week, we're going to do a bit of a preseason run through. Obviously, it's getting very close to week 1. We're going to try and get a guest on next week from one of our good mates from the Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Paul's going to come and jump on and give us a bit of a rundown about the betting for week 1. And
it's always a good catch.
I'm
looking forward to that.
Catch up with Paul, so we'll do a bit of a preseason predictions. Are we gonna do some awards? Favorite time of the year, the way too early predictions. Are we gonna do some awards? Maybe. Are we gonna try and pick out some MVPs early?
The Chargers are winning it all. Justin Herbert.
Why the hell not? Why the hell not? Because we need some decent little shots to pull back on after 10 weeks and point our fingers and go,
Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year from being rubbish.
Honestly, ever since I edited that, I have had that stuck in my head since, literally. What's he coming back from? Being rubbish.
You don't know what we're talking about? Please check out the YouTube channel. Matthew's done a fantastic job of doing a little short.
Yes,
Find it out on TikTok and everywhere else.
I will get that put up tonight because
you have to see it. It's a great bit of editing.
It's so good. Oh, good stuff.
Boys, it's been great.
Yeah, don't worry. And then next week, I might even bring back some more.
To QB or not to QB? That is the question.
Do we need to pre-warn Paul about this? Because if he is not ready as we were...
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We just randomly throw it in when Paul's in the middle of talking about something.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, what do you think about the Dak situation? Do you reckon he's cue that
You just set it up and Alex just ding. That's how we've got to work it. Sounds like a plan.
You hear that outro, Gary, I think?
I think that's been us. This has been NFL Around on SportsMag UK. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And we will see you next week. What's going on?